Cheers. Thanks, Richard. When I was at the back today, I was thinking, my favorite verse is 2 Chronicles 20, verse 12. I didn't put it on there, okay? But in short, it says, I do not know what to do, but I look to you. And when I was praying that, my mum came up afterwards. Richard mentioned the promised land. And then Charles mentioned about giving, getting more, being able to give more. And one of my favorite verses is Psalms 1, verse 3. And it says, He is like a tree planted by streams of water that yields its fruit in its season, and its leaves do not wither. In all he does, he prospers. One tree. How many trees? A tree, which is one tree. But how many streams? Multiple streams. One life, one need, but multiple streams of income. Multiple streams of blessing. When my mum mentioned one stream goes dry, there are 10 more streams that are bountiful that are coming towards you. Now, some of you may or may not know, at the start of this year, I went traveling, and I went to Malaysia, went to Singapore, a few other countries. And one of the reasons I went to Malaysia was because one of my cousins was getting married. And my cousin, I know him quite well. He is one of my 27 cousins. So I think he's number 18, I'm number 26, so there's a bit of an age gap between us. And what he does for a living is he builds roads. So I'd always, just to annoy him, I'd take a picture of a pothole and be like, "Hey mate, can you come fix this?" or something like that. But when I went to Malaysia, I realized he didn't just build roads. He was a shareholder in the company that builds roads, and he owned the quarry that supplied the rock. So I thought he was doing like driveways, but he's building like this guy's like building the A3. Okay, it's like a pretty big deal. But when he first started his career, he was an air steward. And then he was an investment banker, now he builds roads. And I could never join the dots together. So I was like, tell me from start to finish what went on in your life. So one night we were at my auntie's house, which his mum, and we sat down and we were just talking. And I said to him, how do you go from being an air steward to working in Merrill Lynch, an investment bank? And then he said, when I was an air steward, I did it for 2 years. And after the second year, I thought, I need to upskill myself. I can't be doing this the rest of my life. So we decided to do a master's degree, and he went to do one in Masters of Marketing. But at the time, when he was on these planes, he would bump into somebody in business class. Every time we'd see the same customer, and every time this man would leave a stack of papers behind. When the man gets off the plane, he'd look at the papers, he'd look through, see all these graphs, all these numbers, no idea what any of them meant. He would chuck the paper in the bin. Few weeks later, he'd see the same guy, again, stack of papers. Again, he would try and read them. Didn't understand, threw them in the bin. Eventually, he got the courage and asked this man, listen, I see you every few weeks. I know if you're flying business class, you must be loaded, and you leave a stack of papers. What does it mean? And the man explains to him, well, these are financial statements, this is what it means, da-da-da-da-da. The man eventually convinces him to change from Masters in Marketing to one of Finance. And then he does a 2 or 3 year course, gets the degree. Then afterwards, this man gives him a job in banking. And I remember saying to my cousin, you got so lucky that you met this man, you got so lucky that he was willing to tell you, and you got so lucky that you were going to go to university at that time. And he was like, Josh, you don't understand. The point of the story is not that I got lucky, but it was that I was consistent. And he said, if you're an accountant, you're a dentist, you show up late to work, you probably stay a bit longer, an extra half hour at the end. But if you're an air steward, the plane will leave without you. His point was, I was consistently on time, and I was consistently good, which is why this guy was willing to invest in me. And the reason I say this is because today I'll be sharing about somebody in the Bible who was consistently good, from the moment you read his first words to the moment he dies. And this person in the Bible is Joshua. So we start from Joshua chapter 1, verse 1, and we'll read all the way to verse 5. So verse 1 says, after the death of Moses, the servant of the Lord said to Joshua, the son of Nun, Moses' assistant. It starts by saying, after the death of Moses. Now in the Bible, Moses oftentimes represents the law. He is literally like Mr. Ten Commandments. He took the Israelites out of Egypt, he split the Red Sea, he turned bitter water into sweet water, but what he is known for is the Ten Commandments. When he went up to Mount Sinai, I used to always ask, he went up there, hiked up a mountain, prayed, fasted 40 days, 40 nights, and God gave him 10 commandments. He gave them to him in 2 pieces of stone. I used to say, like, Jesus, your servant, Moses, the servant, prayed, fasted 40 days. You could at least give it to him on a piece of paper, back of a leaf, anything but 2 pieces of stone for him to carry down. But again, the stone represents the law. It's rigid, it does not bend, it's not flexible. You're either right or you're wrong. You're first place or congratulations, you are the first loser. So Moses represents the law. And notice in this verse it says, Moses the servant, and it says Joshua the son. So Moses the servant, Joshua the son. It shows a transition from being led from the mindset of a servant to one of a son. Now, to understand this in a bit more detail, we need to look at where Moses is from. So Moses is from the tribe of Levi. And Exodus 2, chapter 2, verse 1, it says, so Moses now says, now a man from the house of Levi went and took as his wife a Levite woman. The woman conceived and bore a son, and when she saw that he was a fine child, she hid him 3 months. So this is Moses, and they're talking about his mum and his dad. Father is from Levi, mother is from Levi. He's true and true from Levi. And in verse 2 it says, and when she saw that he was a fine child, she hid him 3 months. The fine child bit means that when she saw that he was pleasing, she hid him. Again, it represents Moses being of the law. His mother did not hide him because he was her son. His mother hid him because he was a good baby. That's literally Moses. Moses represents the law. Now, okay, if you could put my picture up, that'd be perfect, please. Okay, so yeah, that's the one. So at the top, we got the big dogs in the Bible. So we got Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. I don't know how clearly you can see it. And then afterwards, you got the 1 to 12. So these are all Jacob's sons. So the eldest son, as we all know, is Reuben. The youngest is Benjamin. Now, Levi is number 3, which is where Moses is from. He's from that tribe. He's not his son. There's many generations in between. But Moses is from the tribe of Levi. And the important thing to know about the tribe of Levi is that the priests in the Bible come from the tribe of Levi. Only the priests. The first high priest in the Bible was Aaron, which is Moses' elder brother. Priests do 3 things in particular. Number 1, they mediate between God and between man. They offer sacrifices, and they teach the law. So when you think of Moses leading the Israelites, you think leadership by law. Now we have Joshua. Right? Joshua is from the tribe of Ephraim, who is the son of Joseph. And notice in the Bible, 12 tribes, 12 sons, 11 tribes, 2 half-tribes. So the half-tribe of Ephraim, half-tribe of Manasseh, they're the ones in yellow. So Joshua is from the tribe of Ephraim. Now Joshua is known as Joshua the son of Nun. Nun is pronounced in the Bible N-O-O-N, so son of Nun. Joshua the son of Nun. Nun in Hebrew means the word increase. Joshua the son of increase. From the tribe of Ephraim. Ephraim means fruitfulness. You switch from a leadership of one of Moses, which is a leadership of law, to a leadership of increase and fruitfulness. Now, what's also important is that Ephraim is the younger son, so younger son of Joseph. But when Jacob blessed them, Jacob, instead of blessing them like this, he switched his arms. So the younger son got the double portion blessing, the right hand blessing. In the Bible, the right hand is double portion, strength, dominance. The left hand represents either skill, the Benjaminite warriors fought with their left hand, or it represents deception in some instances. For example, when Joab hugged Abner, he hugged him with his right hand, stabbed him with his left hand, and when Ehud freed the Israelites, he stabbed the Moabite king with the left hand. But today it's all about the right hand. So right hand, double portion blessing, the hand of dominance. So when Jacob switched his hands, he gave the double portion blessing to Ephraim, who was the younger son. The son who did not earn it, the son that did not deserve it, received the double portion blessing. Now Ephraim is the son of Joseph, And why Joseph plays an important role in this is because Joseph took the Israelites out of the promised land into Egypt. He did it to save them. And a descendant of Joseph brought them back into the promised land, who is Joshua. The first Adam ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, got kicked out of the garden. The second Adam, Jesus Christ, died on the cross, paid the price for all our sins, and brought us back into the garden. First Joseph, out of the promised land. Second Joseph, who is Joshua, into the promised land. Joshua is a reflection of Jesus Christ to come. Even back then, Joshua is a reflection of Jesus. Remember, the son of increase from the tribe of fruitfulness. You switch from being Moses, the servant, to Joshua, the son. Now, the word servant in Hebrew means the word worker. So from a worker to a son has an inheritance. He is from the tribe of Ephraim, the tribe that did not deserve the double portion blessing. They did not earn it, but they received it anyway. You switch from being a worker to a mindset of being a son. A change of leadership. Now, verse 2 says, Moses, my servant, is dead. Again, it references Moses, my servant. Moses, the worker, is dead. And then it says, therefore. And it can only say therefore if something first dies. So when something is dead, there is something next. Moses, my servant, is dead. Therefore, Moses, my servant, is dead. Now move on. It says, now therefore arise, go over this Jordan, you and all this people, into the land I'm giving to them, to the people of Israel. It says, therefore arise, go. To arise means you have to stand up. To go means to move forward. If God is saying to Joshua, I need you to arise, it must mean Joshua is sitting down. So Joshua goes from sitting to standing to walking. Sit, stand, walk. Now Psalms 1:1 says, blessed is the man who walks not in the counsel of the wicked, nor stands in the way of sinners, nor sits in the seat of the scornful. This is walk, stand, sit. And the point of me saying this is it emphasizes the posture. When you are sitting is a different posture to when you're standing, and it's a different posture to when you are walking. If you go back to Joshua 1:2, so it says, now therefore arise, go. So Joshua is currently sitting down. Now a few weeks ago when I did the offering, I spoke about Genesis 18 verse 1. That Abraham, he was sitting, he was resting, he put his weight in the strength of strengths. He put his weight in God. But what Joshua is putting his weight in is Moses' leadership, which is why God says, Moses, my servant, is dead. Now that Moses is dead, you cannot be comfortable in his leadership. You need to do what? You need to arise. Only before you stand up can you go forward. First you have to stand up. Now I have a friend of mine and her job is she's a confidence coach. And I asked her one day, what's some tips of confidence? And she told me, you've got to plant your feet in the ground when you stand up. When you sit down, plant your feet in the ground. So like I mentioned at the start of the message, Psalms 1 verse 3, like a tree planted, a single tree, multiple streams. Plant yourself in the word of God and you will have multiple streams. Plant yourself as being a son of fruitfulness, from the son of increase from the tribe of fruitfulness, and you will have multiple streams. So Joshua needs to plant himself as being a son, no longer a worker, but now a son. And once he plants himself in that position, only then can he go forward. Only then can he take the Israelites into the promised land, into the land that was promised to Moses. And then the verse says, go over this Jordan, you and all this people, into the land. Go over the Jordan, go into the land. Over the Jordan, into the land. There are some things you will go over and some things you will go into. If the Israelites went into the river Jordan, they would die in the river Jordan. If they went over the promised land, they would not reap the full benefits of the promised land. You know, in the Bible, someone very famous, I mentioned earlier, his name is Joseph. When Joseph is first mentioned, he has these dreams. He dreams of his brothers being sheaves of wheat, bowing down to him. And then after these dreams, it's never mentioned Joseph had another dream. Instead, he just interprets dreams. Joseph went from having dreams to interpreting dreams. The point being is that there is a clear transition from one thing to another. You need to know when you go over things and when you go into things. When Jesus said to the woman with the issue of blood, "Go in peace," the Greek for in is the word into. So again, into peace. But what Jesus was saying wasn't go between where I am to your house, that 5-minute journey, peaceful, you open your front door, absolute carnage. It's go into peace, which is a posture inside your heart. So when it says go into the promised land, it is also a posture of being a son inside your heart, a son or a daughter. So go into the promised land, a son. Again, I've said this many times, a son of increase from the tribe of fruitfulness. Now, if they went into, the verse goes on and says, you and all this people into the land I'm giving to them. Go over this Jordan, you and all this people. Now, the river Jordan in this context is an obstacle. So when it says you will go over the river Jordan, it means you will go through this obstacle. Who will go through it? You and everyone. Everyone will go into obstacles. Everyone will go through tough times, go through hurdles which they have to overcome in their life. And then it says, into the land I'm giving to them, to the people of Israel. Meaning, only the people of Israel, only the sons will go into the promised land. Everyone will go through things, but only the sons and daughters will go into things. So before you go into it, you need to have that posture of a son, a posture of rest. Take a position as a son or daughter of God. There are some things you'll go into and some things you will go over. Now, verse 3 says, every place that the sole of your foot will tread upon, I've given to you, just as I promised to Moses. This verse is my favorite verse. I'll explain why in a minute. But it says, just as I have given to Moses. The promises were not for Joshua, they were from Moses. Joshua from the tribe of Ephraim, the son that did not deserve it, the younger son, did not earn it, shouldn't have got the firstborn blessing, but he got it anyway. Joshua is from that tribe, and we are the Joshuas. If you haven't clocked that already, we are the Joshuas, right? We are the sons, we are the daughters from the tribe of increase, from the tribe of fruitfulness. So, every place that the sole of your foot will tread upon, I've given to you. Now, to understand this verse, we will go to Ruth. And for those of you that do not know who Ruth is, a quick 30-second summary is, Ruth is a Moabite. So she's essentially, in the story of Ruth, Ruth is a foreigner. And her mother-in-law is somebody called Naomi, who is Jewish. So she's an Israelite. And they go back to Naomi's home, which is Bethlehem. Now, in Bethlehem, they are looking for somebody called the kinsman redeemer. Now, a kinsman redeemer is a relative of yours that will redeem you. And the act of literally redeeming you is giving you money to buy back what you had lost. So let's say, for example, you had a massive farm and your husband passed away, so you moved away. A kinsman redeemer would buy back that farm for you and then give it to you. Now, the kinsman redeemer in the story is a guy called Boaz. Boaz, his name means strength. And it's interesting that Naomi chose to go back to Bethlehem because she knew Boaz was there. She knew that strength was at home, right? When you get lost, you go back to strength. You go back to Jesus. Whenever you feel unsure, you go back to strength. So, Boaz is the kinsman redeemer. And in order to be the kinsman redeemer, you need to meet a few qualities. Number one, you've got to be a relative. Okay, you can be a distant relative, you can be a close relative, you just have to be a relative. But the closer you are in relation to the person, the first right of redemption you have. So for example, if my dad needed redeeming, I would have the first right, my cousin would have the second right. Next, you must have the resources. You can be as close a relative as you want, but if you haven't got the money in the bank to pay for the property, there's no chance you're going to do it. And most importantly, number 3, you have to be willing. So 3 things: you have to be related, you have to have the resources, and you have to be willing. So Boaz, in this instance, he's a relative of Naomi, he has the resources, and he is willing. And then in Ruth chapter 4, verse 7, it says, Now this was the custom in former times in Israel concerning redeeming and exchanging. To confirm a transaction, the one drew off his sandal and gave it to the other. And this was the manner of attesting in Israel. Verse 8 says, So when the Redeemer said to Boaz, Buy it for yourself, he took off his sandal. When Boaz took off his sandal, he confirmed the redemption. And I like this because Boaz doesn't say, I'll redeem it for you, leave it to me, I'll take care of it. There's no words, it's just actions from him. And as soon as he takes off his sandal, the redemption is complete. At the same time, as soon as he takes off his sandal, the sole of his foot touches the ground. And Joshua 1:3 it says, that the sole of your foot will tread upon, where the sole of your foot tread upon, I have given to you. So Joshua, every step that you take is yours. And the mindset you need to have when you think about taking steps forward is that of the kinsman redeemer. Every step Joshua took forward, God got out his checklist and said, box number 1, are you my son or are you my daughter? Yes, you're my son. You're no longer a worker, you are my son. Gets out his checklist again, box number 2, do I have the resources to split the river Jordan, take you into Jericho, knock down the walls without a single catapult or stone, and then get you into the promised land? Yes, I have the resources. And am I willing to do it for you? 10,000% yes, I'm willing to do it for you. Every step Joshua took could have been 1,000,000 steps, 500,000 steps. God gets out the checklist. Are you a relative? Are you my son? Do I have the resources? And am I willing? And it's the same in your life today. Regardless of what you're going through, if you're going on holiday, God gets out his checklist. Are you a son or daughter? Yes. Do I have the resources to make this the best holiday you've ever had? Of course I do. And am I willing to do it for you? Yes, I am willing to do it for you. Every step Joshua takes, every step that we take, God signs off on these 3 boxes. He is our relative, he has the resources, and he is willing. One tree, multiple streams of blessings, multiple streams of income. Now verse 4 says, From the wilderness and this Lebanon, as far as the great river, the river Euphrates, all the land of the Hittites to the great sea, towards the going down of the sun, shall be your territory. If we switch to the NIV, it's probably a bit easier to understand the verse. So it says, Your territory will extend from the desert to the Lebanon, and from the great river, the river Euphrates, and all the Hittite country to the Mediterranean Sea in the west. So it starts off by saying, from the desert to Lebanon. Now the desert is the southern part. Lebanon is at the north. From the south to the north. The desert is dust. From the dust to the Lebanon. When Solomon built his temple, he used something called cedars from Lebanon, which were the prime trees. These are trees which are big, trees are strong, and trees that smell good. These trees are found in the hill country of Lebanon. So from the south to the north, everything in between the dust and the cedars of Lebanon I have given to you. Now notice south to north, not north to south. When Jesus died on the cross, the veil was torn. It was torn from top to bottom. It's a picture of heaven touching earth. But here, it's the old covenant. It's from the south to the north. Then it says, from the Euphrates to the west. The Euphrates is important because it is one of the 4 rivers that starts in the Garden of Eden. Now, if you know, the Garden of Eden is literally the most day one place in the Bible. So from the day one of your life to when the sun goes down in the west, from the beginning of your life to the end of your life, I have given you access from the dust to the cedars of Lebanon. I've given you access to everything from the first day of your life to the last day of your life. Now, in Lebanon, like I mentioned, they have the cedars. They have these big trees. But there are some people that will live in Lebanon that will live in tents, and some people that will live in houses made out of the cedars of Lebanon. You have the option to live in a tent or a house. So you have access to everything. It's what you choose to take hold of. The Hall of Fame Bible verse is John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave. Love does what? Love gives. Faith receives. God has given us access to everything. we have to receive it. Ability to take whatever we want from the beginning to the end. I heard a story a while back, and it was about this son, and his father was a pastor in a church. He had a very large church, and the son is about 17 in the story, so it's before he's about to go to university. He's got about a few months off in the summer. So his father says to him, "Would you like to work for me? Work as a cleaner in the church for a few months, get some money, and go off to university." Son says, "Sure, Dad, I'll do it." Day one, he shows up, and his dad gives him the mop, he gives him the hoover, and he also gives him a stack of keys. He's got 15 keys, 24 keys, whatever your imagination can go to. He's got a lot of keys, okay? He puts the keys on his trousers, and every step he takes, he hears them jingle, and it feels like £1,000,000. People can see he's got access to every room. He goes in the kitchen, cleans the kitchen, locks the door, goes in the storage room, cleans it, locks the door. At the end of the few months, he gives the keys back to his dad, gives the mop back, and says, "Dad, I'm off to university." Goes to university, learns loads, has a great time, and decides, "I had a great time at university, but I'd love to go back to my dad's church." So he asks his dad, "Do you have any jobs for me?" His dad says, yeah, I've got a job for you." So his dad gets him a job, and he gives him one key. He gives him a key to the office. And in the son's heart, he's thinking, "Dad, before I had a degree, before I was educated, you gave me keys to the whole church. Now that I have a degree, you give me one key." And he felt frustrated in his heart, but he didn't let that get to his work. He continued to work for his dad, and after a few years, he got promotion, but he still only had that one key. Same thing continued, worked a few more years, another promotion, still only had that one key. And then a few years later, his dad got very sick and he was in hospital. So he would drive to hospital, he'd see his dad, he'd pray for him, and then he'd drive up to the church and say to the church caretaker, "Would you mind opening up the gate so I can go into the building and pray inside the church?" The caretaker would open the gate, he'd pray in the church. This went on for a few weeks. He'd see his dad drive to church. And then one day when he got to church, the caretaker wasn't there. So he gave him a call and said, "Hey, any chance you could open the gate?" And the caretaker said, "I've just got an appointment outside of town. I'll be there in half an hour." So the son's walking around the church building for half an hour, praying. No sign of the caretaker. An hour goes past. Still no sign of the caretaker. At this point, he gets a bit frustrated. He starts shaking the gate, gives it a little push, see if anything happens. Nothing works. Hour and a half goes by. He just decides, "I'm just going to chance it. Let's see if my key works." So he puts the key in the gate, and it's a perfect match. Unlocks the gate, and he goes inside. He gets to the front door. He puts the key in. Again, it works. Now he's in the sanctuary. Then he goes to the office. He unlocks the office, unlocks the storage room, unlocks the kitchen. He unlocks all the doors in the building. And while he's doing this, the caretaker walks in and says to the son, "You finally realize you had the master key." And the son says, "If you'd known the whole time, why didn't you tell me?" And the caretaker said, "I knew you had the master key. Your father knew you had the master key. You were the only person that didn't know that you had the master key." The point of the story is, we have access from the dust to the most premium, from writing our dreams to living our dreams, from the day we are born to the day we die. God knows we have access. The people around us, they see our brilliance, the greatness inside of us, our potential. But the true question is, do you see that in yourself when you look in the mirror? Only you can convince yourself of the greatness inside of you. And the way you do it is through looking and seeing who you are. And that's when you read the Bible, you study the Word. And it's a reflection of an image of you. You are now a son. You are no longer a servant. You are no longer a worker. You are a son of none, a son of increase from the tribe of fruitfulness. That is who you are. When you read the Bible from that perspective, you have access to everything. You hold the master key to anything you want, from writing your dreams to living them. Okay, so verse 5 says, "No man shall be able to stand before you all the days of your life. Just as I was with Moses, so I will be with you. I will not leave you or forsake you." Now, To explain this verse, the first mention of the word to stand in the Bible was made in reference to Moses' sister. So Moses, his sister was standing there while Moses was in a basket. He was 3 months old, floating down the stream. Moses' sister was helpless, she could not do anything. Moses again was 3 months old, not conscious of God, didn't know who God was, no idea of what God even means, but God was in control of his life. Even when he was floating down the river, God did not leave him, God did not forsake him. He was with him. And just like that, he will be with Joshua. When Joshua is not conscious of God being there, God is with him. When he's in a battle, he does not know what to do. He has to have that confidence that God is there. God is controlling everything that he's doing. He's controlling his army, he's controlling the enemy's army. Okay, one more story. So, there's this young man, and this young man, let's just say for argument's sake, is like 20 years old, and he is going to, the next day he's got a date, so he's going to pick up this girl. She lives about 2 hours away. So the night before, he gets his clothes ready, he irons his socks, he ties his shoelaces the night before. He's ready in capital letters. Goes to bed, he can barely sleep that night, wakes up the next day and jumps in the car. He drives his mum's car, which is a Ford, so he jumps in the car and he drives off. And he meets the girl, picks her up, and they go for a walk. They have a great dinner, great lunch dinner, whatever it is. And it's time to go home. So he drops her back at the house, and now he's driving home. This guy's on like cloud nine, a smile from ear to ear. So happy, couldn't have gone better. He's got the windows down while he's driving. His favorite song comes up on the radio. He's thinking, this can't be any better. Now he's so sold in the girl. He's about to put a deposit on a Range Rover for her. It's all going well. And while he's driving, he starts to hear a ticking noise from the engine. Makes a small tick, tick, tick as it goes along. And he thinks in his heart, this can't be happening to me. Of all days, not today. It drives a bit more, and the ticking noise turns to steam, turns to smoke. So in the car, he pulls over at the side of the road, and he pops the hood of the engine. He looks inside, and he doesn't know what he's doing. He twists something, he whacks it, gives the tires a good kick. Nothing works. This car's still got steam coming out, still can hear the ticking noise. Hands on his head. And out of absolutely nowhere, a white limousine pulls up in front of him. And out of the limousine comes an old man. He's wearing a white tuxedo. Everything is white. He unbuttons his tuxedo, folds it up, and puts it in the back of the car. Walks over to the young man and says, "Is there anything I can help you with?" And the young man says, "My car was making ticking noise, and then steam came out, and now I'm stuck." And the old man says, "No problem, I can help you out." So he undoes the buttons on his shirt, starts to roll up his pressed white shirt, puts his hand down the engine. He gets grease all over his arm, all over his shirt. He twists something, he whacks something, and he says to the young man, "Try and start the engine." The young man turns the key, and the engine works. It sounds perfect. And at this point, the old man's going back to his car, and the young man says to him, "Is there any way I can thank you, anything I can do for you for helping me out?" And the old man says, "Don't worry about it, just drive home safe." And the young man says, "No, honestly, I can't take that for an answer. Is there anything I can do for you?" And the old man says, "Don't worry about it, just have a good drive home." Then the young man says, "Just tell me why you stopped." And the old man says, "I stopped because my name is Henry Ford, and that car is one of my creations. And it pains me on the inside to see one of my creations broken down at the side of the road." Now that story is a reflection of how Jesus sees us. It pains Jesus on the inside to see us broken down at the side of the road, to see us hurting, to see us in lack. But like he was with Moses, he is with Joshua, and he is with us. He will never leave us nor forsake us. Even when there is nobody around, it's dark at night, no one can see our pain, can see our crying, God is there for us. He will never leave you, and he will never forsake you. Understand that you are a son, not a servant. You're a son or a daughter of Christ. You are a son of Nun, meaning you are son of increase from the tribe of fruitfulness. You have access from everything, from the dust to the best in the world, from the beginning of your life to the end of your life. Every step that you take, God signs off those 3 boxes. You are my son, you are my daughter. I have the resources for whatever you're going through right now. And am I willing to do it? 10,000%, I'm willing to do it. Even when you are not in control, God is in control. And when you're not conscious of God being there, He is with you. So thank you very much for listening.